Diamonds has some very smart functions such as extrusion, translation, and rotation, which allow you to quickly go from your 2D model to a complete 3D structure. In this video, the focus is on frame structures. First example is an industrial platform. The platform itself is already designed. Now we want to add columns. Instead of drawing them on the screen, we will create them. First thing we need to do is to remove the supports. I select the points, holding the Shift button down. I go to the supports dialog and free the nodes. Having the points still selected, I go to the extrusion function. The points need to be extruded over 2.2 meters in vertical direction and downwards, of course. This corresponds with the y-axis, as you can see in the global axis system. So we need to enter dy, and it will be a negative value because the extrusion needs to be opposite to the positive y-axis. So I enter minus 2.2 and I click OK. And the columns are created. Now the new elements are just empty lines. You still need to assign a cross-section and material. Now what if the structure is not horizontal but inclined? Well, I'll move on to the next example. This is a different beam grid, but with a clear inclination, as can be seen in the front view. First of all, I remove all the supports by selecting them with Shift and freeing all the nodes. Having the point still selected, I go to the extrusion function again. I enter a distance of minus 2.5 meters and I hit OK. Problem now is that all the lines have the same length, but they do not end at the same level as probably desired. This would mean that you have to modify each individual column length to get them leveled. Luckily, we have a solution for that. I start over using the undo function. We use the extrusion function again, but this time around I choose to plane, and let us choose as the ground level 0 meter, for example, and I hit OK. Now when we look in a front view, we see that all columns end neatly at the same level. Next example, a 2D steel frame, 2 columns and a roof, a very simple model, and these elements will become the gantry girders of an overhead crane. The frame is horizontally supported out of plane. In this model, I remove the supports, but only those out of plane. The supports at the bottom of the columns, these ones, I want to keep. So this can be easily done in the front view. I select these elements and remove the supports. Now I select the whole model and I go to the translation function. Now, translation literally means translocation, so moving, but we do not want to move the frame. I enter a value of 8. That means we will copy the frame 8 times. Let's say we copy the frame in the Z direction, which is logical, out of plane, 4.5 meter. This will be the spacing between the frames. And very important now, I switch on create connecting lines, as this will automatically generate the purlins and the girders. The translation function will now work as a copy plus extrude command. And I click OK. Each point of the 2D frame is now extruded except for the supports. Points or lines with supports assigned are ignored in the extrude part of the translate function. You may have noticed that these lines have been created too much. We can easily remove them by drawing two selection frames in a front view, one over here, and I'm holding the shift button down, another one over here. Let's go back in 3D view to see what is selected. That's exactly what we wanted, and I hit delete to remove them. Let us add some facade columns now. I can use the extrude function for that. So I select this node, this node, this node, this one, and one over here. I'm launching the extrude function. We need to extrude to plane, which is of course logical because all the columns will have a different height. And I can, you see the cross lines on the screen, I can indicate the coordinate of the plane directly on screen just by clicking. We want them to be the same level as the other columns, of course. I click here, and of course we need a Y plane, and we hit OK. The columns have been created. I can now select the bottom points and add supports. Simple supports, and I hit OK. We can copy this facade columns to the other side by means of the translation function. So I select the columns. We go to the translation function. I will make one copy, no connecting lines. You can set the translation value by indicating the copy distance directly on screen. Just like that. You just draw the copy distance and we hit OK. And it's that simple really to create a 3D industrial hall in diamonds. Remember that all new created elements are just empty lines. You still need to assign cross-sections and materials. Last example is the creation of a dome. And we start with an empty geometry screen. I create a point on a random location. Let's say over here. Now I will create a half a circle in the XY plane with a radius of 5 meters. I only need half a circle, so the end angle is 180. Okay. Actually, I only need quarter, so I will delete this part as well as this point. I will add a support at the bottom, simple support again, and let's move over to 3D view. Now we will use the rotation function. I select everything we have right now and move over to the rotation window. The rotation plane is XZ, which is OK. N is the number of copies and has the same meaning as in the translation function. We set this to 12. The center point of rotation is this point on top, and I just really indicate it directly on screen, and the coordinates will be filled out. The angle is 30 degrees. And very important, of course, here again, create connecting lines, and I hit OK. And here's the result. You can now add cross sections to the elements and materials and continue with the design. And that's how easy you turn 2D frame models into 3D structures with diamonds.